Hi there! So, I've been posting a few food videos and I just wanted to get a little more personal with you guys. For starters, I'm new to posting on YouTube. Funny thing is, I created this channel about a year ago and I posted one video, but I never followed up on it. Let's consider this the take two. Well, for starters, my name is Azralia. I go by Azzy for obvious reasons. Name's too hard to pronounce. I'm a self-taught home baker and cook who specializes in vegan and gluten-free foods. I started my vegan journey about 4 years ago, and oh my gosh, it was so hard. Definitely struggled at the beginning. But I will say the meat part wasn't the hard part for me. It was mostly the dairy and the seafood that really just had a grasp on my soul. I will say what helped me stay focused on my journey was all the research that was done. And that's actually where my husband came into play. He was the one that did all the research and he would share it with me. And whether it be videos on YouTube or articles or even Netflix documentaries. But don't worry, I'll spare you the details because it's not my purpose to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I solely just want to share my journey in hopes that it could possibly help someone who may feel now of what I felt back then. Anywho, slowly but surely, my mind just started to change. My cravings for dairy and seafood, they pretty much diminished. I will say that it helped with the advancement of the delicious vegan foods because had I tried doing this years ago, back when I was in high school, I wouldn't have made it because back then the only knowledge I had about vegan anything was tofu and salads. I mean, I like a good salad every now and then, don't get me wrong, but tofu, I just can't. I mean, nothing against tofu, and if you guys like tofu out there, then good for you. But for me, there is no proper way of cooking tofu or anything that would make me actually want to eat it. So you can imagine how short that lifestyle would have been. But I also really do enjoy cooking, hence the food videos that I post. And I'm a picky eater, so I'm dang near forced to make my own food a lot of the times. Because what's that saying? When you want things done a certain way, you gotta do it yourself. So yeah, once I made a decision that veganism was the path that I wanted to go down, I just started doing research on finding good recipes, easy, like beginner recipes, like hold my hand while we chop these vegetables together type recipes. It helped that I did have a background in cooking. It's just I had to cook vegan, you literally have to almost learn how to cook all over again, no matter what level of chef you are. So I took the time to educate myself on what I could eat and what I could not. And yeah, that was a task. But I actually enjoyed the challenge, you know? It allowed me to be creative and really see what I can and can't do. I enjoyed being able to tap into my creativity and see what I was really made of. Then once me and my husband got into like an actual routine, then that's when we started involving our extended family or well, our parents because knowledge is power. And honestly, we just wanted to enlighten them. We didn't expect them to make any changes on their own. We just, when you find out information, you want to share it with your loved ones of, hey, this is what I found out and now I just want to share this with you. But to our surprise, after we shared our findings with my parents first, my parents decided that they were on board. Now, they started with the whole vegan thing and they couldn't tolerate it that much, but they're pescatarian now, so all they eat is fish. And it's like, okay, well, do you. But I will say that's when the work really started for me. Like, I thought it was hard just finding the recipes, but once my parents got on board and then his parents got on board, it was like, oh gosh, I've offered to help these people and I'm just me. And at the time, I was working a full time, mentally draining job. And I was just like, how am I going to do this? But I made a commitment to help and we worked it out. But I'm a strong believer in things happen for a reason because with me being able to cook for so many people at once, it kind of got me into the mind frame of maybe I can make something of this. So that's what inspired me to create my own business, Opal's Paradise, which originally started off as a vegan meal prep business. I wanted to obviously share what we went through at home and with our family and share that with the world. And I started off and it was in the tester phase. So it was just friends and family that I would make meals for, make orders and all that stuff. And it did pretty well. But the more research that I did and what really had to be involved in having that type of business, I I just already knew that that wasn't for me. But what was for me was baking, because actually back in the day, baking was what I started out with in the first place. Before I was vegan or before I even started cooking, period, I started with baking. So it wasn't hard for me to tap back into that. And with me being a picky eater, and I have allergies as well. So I'm used to altering a recipe here and there. So for the baking, there was already, like, for example, I'm allergic to eggs. So there's a lot of desserts that I naturally was not able to have growing up. So when I started baking back in the day, all my desserts were eggless. They weren't vegan, but they were eggless. And so that pretty much got me in the mind frame of knowing how to cook vegan, because there's plant milks and other stuff and plant creams and stuff like that. So I was able to just swap those out. But I'll save all the details about the business for another video, because that's literally a whole topic on its own. Bottom line is, I'm glad I started on this vegan journey. It started off a bit rocky, but once I got really serious with it, I realized that this is something that I really can do. Now, my goal is not to convince or persuade people to become vegan. I'm not that type of person. It's literally just to help someone out there, because who knows, you might be in the same boat that I was in and you might find this helpful for whatever reason. And that's that's the purpose. I'm not trying to make you feel like, oh, I want to eat better and blah 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 and everything. Like, do you? Because becoming vegan is a serious game. It's mind, body, and spirit type situation. Like, let's just say it's not for the weak. And I consider myself pretty weak at the beginning. So, but I was able to do it. But at the same time, it's something that I wanted to do. I wasn't forced into it. It was suggested and I went along with it. But if I didn't want to, I wouldn't have. But I ended up liking it. Prior to going vegan, I was clearly struggling with weight. I was nearly 200 pounds. Um, I was just like puffy and not understanding why. And I had quite a bit of health problems that literally got pushed under the rug. So I went vegan, not really hoping that my health would change or not really expecting it to change. It just did. And it really allowed me to really just tap into my my inner health. My first year being vegan, I lost 30 pounds and I did no working out because, let's just say, I'm not the type of person all the time. My skin cleared up a lot, and I eventually went to a naturopath doctor and found out more tests than what was going on, and I realized that I was literally dying on the inside. I found out a lot of things about me. And one of the things I found out was that I was gluten intolerant. Joy, right? I mean, imagine this, having serious allergies growing up, being a picky eater, going vegan, and now gluten intolerant. Like, really? Lord, why? Right? So now I have to learn how to cook vegan and gluten free. Thank God that the people that I was helping at the beginning were able to fend for themselves and cook for themselves, because at this point I had to go back to school all over again. I went to YouTube University. I found recipes, I found different grains that I was able to have and all that stuff. And that was harder than just finding vegan food to cook with in the beginning. But through it all, I will say that I did start feeling a lot better. I was no longer bloated. I no longer had pain after eating. I no longer struggled with the complications that can come with just having gluten in your system when you're gluten intolerant. And so I started making food, well, my desserts, and it was actually pretty good. And so I figured like, hey, this could be my thing, like my niche. And I really do enjoy just making good food and that people can enjoy. Whether you're vegan or not, it doesn't matter. Just bond over having good food. I know with me and my family, when we get together, food is like the main thing that we bond over, which was kind of hard when we first went vegan because it's like now they're going to feel really bad about, oh, I'm eating meat, or oh, I have dairy or whatever. And it's just like me and my husband, me and my family, like we're not those type of people. We don't care. Like if you want to eat like that, then eat like that. Like we were not vegan our whole lives. We dabbled in some meat, some dairies, and some things. So it's not new to us. It's just we decided to make a lifestyle change, but we still want to be included in family gatherings and do things together. It's just it's got to be able to be a combination of the foods. Like you have the vegan section and the non-vegan section. And honestly, it worked out pretty great because I think last year was our first time having a vegan Thanksgiving. Well, a combination. So there was obviously meat there, but we had our vegan food as well. And so the family was able to eat together and we didn't have to be separate. And it's like the inclusion is the main thing. Like you get together with your family and your friends and you just want to be included. You don't necessarily want to make anyone feel bad or whatever. You just want to have a good time and enjoy the company. It's that, the food just happens to always be there. So I will say that was possibly a struggle at the beginning, other than trying to learn how to cook different ways. It was also a struggle with family and close friends of like, what what can we do? Like we can't go out to lunch. Like there's like me, I'm limited of where I can go because if they don't have vegan and gluten free options, I'm pretty much like, guess I'm cooking for you guys and we're coming over and hanging out at the house. But where's the fun in that? I want to be I want to be treated sometimes. But yeah, so I would just say that I didn't know exactly what I was going to be getting myself into with going vegan when I first tried this out. I mean, obviously things are better now, but it took some time. And that's why I say it's not for it may not be for everyone. I mean, you may enjoy certain vegan foods and that's cool, but you also may enjoy your non-vegan foods and that's totally fine. But I feel like there's this disconnect with people that are vegan and non-vegan. And with being on both sides of the coin per se, I'm able to see that it's just food, you guys. That's all it is. You have food that does this and you have food that does that. Either way, you're going to feel satisfied after you eat it. How you feel other than that's on you. But whether you're vegan or non-vegan, you really shouldn't focus your strong opinions on it to persuade someone out of being that way just because you don't agree with it. Like if you don't understand, ask questions. That's what we dealt with. Our family literally asked us a lot of questions, and there was some times where we did not have all the answers. We just had what we knew for ourselves. But at the same time, it was our decision that we made. So it was either you accept us for who we are now or we go our separate ways. And when it comes to your family and close friends, you don't necessarily want to make that decision. You got to suck it up. Anyways, so I think I'm going to make a small series dealing with my vegan journey and just touch bases because there's literally so much that can be said. And I don't think it's all going to be just bottled up in just one video. Like it's got to be a couple of them just so I can be more organized and, you know, tame it down and just focus on one topic at a time. I'd like to share more of my beginning struggles, how I got through them, tips that I found along the way. Like I want to set time aside so I can actually create that type of content on the side of making my food videos because now you guys can have a face and a little bit of a background story of these videos that you guys are watching. And I might just throw in a video about background of how I got my business started and everything just because. So yeah, if you enjoy this type of content, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on veganism. Have you tried it? Would you give it a try? Or is it just not your thing? Let me know. But please keep it respectful, you guys. I want this to be a safe space. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and I personally will never force mine on anyone else. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.